welcome to Game Inside Global Game Review Show in Finland this time. We're gonna be reviewing 5 different Korean games today. Kind of looking forward to it. Very, very fun games. Should be good, but before that, a quick round of introductions. My name is Helli. I'm a game design teacher. I work with game technology and I'm the chair of IGDA Finland, so I dabble in the game industry in Finland a little bit. But I'm not the only person here. I have some lovely guests here, and Eevi, would you care to start?
Of course. Hi, I'm Eevi Korhonen. I'm the senior narrative designer at Housemarque, and my recent work includes a little game that won some awards called Returnal, and before that Control. And I've been working in the industry for over 10 years, and throughout that time I worked in mobile games, Facebook games, and now of course recently AAA games.
Nice, thank you. Chris?
Yeah, hello, my name is Christopher. I work at Next Games, or Netflix, as a technical artist. Currently I'm working on a game that's already released called Stranger Things Puzzle Tales. And yeah, that's me.
Cool. Emma?
Hi, I'm Emma Varjo. I'm a game UX designer. I've worked in tech, like all over tech before, and previously at Frozen Byte, where I was involved with titles such as Trine 4 and Starbase. And now I'm working on something completely new that I hope I can announce later this year.
Oh, mystery, I like it. Nice. And then we have Enla.
Yes. Hi, I'm Enla Heino. I am working as a game designer at Skunkworks, and I'm the lead game designer of Merge Friends.
Oh,
That's me. Yeah.
nice, wonderful. And Teemu.
Yep, hi, my name is Teemu. I used to work in hyper-casual games for the past couple of years. Nowadays I'm a freelancer, and I'm a designer programmer, and I'm also in the Finnish Game Jam organization as a president. And that's pretty much me.
Cool. Thank you very much for all of you. But you're not here just for our pretty faces. You're here for the games, the reviews. So let's get to it. The first game we're going to be reviewing is Jumo Clicker. Just a couple of words about the devs, or actually the dev, because it was made by one person. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. Roman Bard. I almost thought it was like Roman Bard, but like I guess it's Roman Bard. But yeah, it's one person, very secretive. There's like no interviews, no, like you haven't seen their faces anywhere. Like it's very mysterious, a little bit like your little mystery coming up. So, but yeah, the game is quite heavily inspired by Korean folk tales, but also quite memey. There's been taking a lot of memes from Twitch, and it's that kind of a game, and it started as well as not as a joke, but they kind of threw it on the Korean Reddit, if you can call it. They put like, oh, should I make this kind of game? I feel like, yeah, that would be fun. And then they made it, and then it was incredibly popular. They did really well, and then fun fact, they didn't make any money on it for the first 9 months because there was I'm not sure if it was like a typo in the name or something, but it took 9 months with Google like to wrestle, so they actually got some money out of it. But to their credit, once they did get the money, they did give around 10K to the Ukrainian war effort. Like, so that's very nice. Okay, cool. But yeah, thank you. Let's go see the trailer. Welcome back from the trailer, and let's get to it. Who wants to start? Everyone's looking away. Eevi, you made eye contact.
No, classical
Rookie
Finnish
mistake.
mistake. Yeah, no.
Yes, rookie mistake.
No, I really enjoyed this game. I think it was an interesting take on the clicker genre. I've never heard of Jumo or Hottek before, but now I feel like I know more. Although if I hadn't played it, based on the trailer, I thought it was like a woman throwing like snowballs at attacking men. Somehow that's the kind of image I got, because I haven't associated tavern with this kind of like outside because she's kind of like standing next to a fence.
Inside
She's
the
standing
yard.
next to a fence and she's throwing these white things. So I was like, okay, it's like a snowball food fight.
Naturally.
Yeah. So I was a little bit confused by the concept of the hot dog.
Yeah.
But once I got that, then I was like, okay, of course this is like cookie clicker. It's food, and I got these people making food for me. So yeah, that was really interesting, and I was really impressed by the level of the localization and the story in the game. So very big kudos on that one.
Yeah, that did help a lot on that. But also, good name drop with Cookie Clicker. That was the first thing I thought as well, which is a good thing because Cookie Clicker is amazing, and this felt incredibly good. It felt really nice to play this. I'm gonna go to Chris next. Any thoughts there? You're trying to avoid my eyes.
No, like I really enjoyed the game, and I think I spent like 3 hours playing it or something like that. And I got quite far. When I started, I kind of didn't like understand what was going on. Like when I got to like the higher level of the income of the hot deck, like it started with A, and like I thought like it was a typo, it was supposed to be billions or something like that, and then I went to B, C, D, and I understood like how it progresses, but then it like kind of made sense. But I really enjoyed the game, and like there's like cool memes like your base are belong to us, and like there's like stuff in the game that's like quite funny, and yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm not personally like into these kind of games myself, and like of course like I don't like ads and stuff like that, but in this game I clicked the ad button to get more stuff like quite many times, so like that never happens for me, so like something is done correctly, so I really
if you haven't tried it, do yourself a favor, try Cookie Clicker. It's good stuff, especially in the late game.
Okay.
Yeah. Emma?
Yeah, I also thought of Cookie Clicker immediately when I started playing this, partially because of the aesthetics and because it's food. I haven't played clickers since Cookie Clicker because I get sucked in really badly, but then I burn out. Like I never got to the end game in Cookie Clicker, and this like I also had difficulties at the beginning somehow because it felt like there was a lot going on, and I'm not sure I ever understood how the fighting mechanic works. Like they keep throwing the things at the people, and what does it matter what day is going on or something? But I think at the end of the days you get some bonuses or something.
It's basically you get the bonus like how many production like you're getting, it like doubles that. So
it happens that
want
point.
to like
okay, yeah.
You want to go as far as many days.
I figured that like there's something important like synergy going on there, but I wasn't exactly sure what happened. Also, an embarrassing thing, but it took me a while to realize that you can buy other sources of production apart from the tavern helpers, because like I just didn't swipe up for the longest time, and then I accidentally did that. I'm like, oh crap, I should have done this like ages ago. But those were the only things that I had problems with. Like really liked the story. It was funny and quirky and like not too long. Like it would happen every now and again, and it added to the thing instead of like no I want to keep clicking and like just go away story. And I really enjoy it, and I will probably pick it up after this, like after we talk about this, because I gotta get daily bonuses.
One of the good thing about the story is like I often want to skip stories, but they also have like you can go back and like look at the stories, which is like a good thing. It's like because often you're clicking and like it goes away, but then you can like return to it. I think that was like a nice.
And overall, like I think that the story was paced in such a nice way, because like every time you unlocked something, there was always like a little bit of story to come with it, and it was always just very delightful stuff that you would just like read a couple of sentences and get moving and going on again. It was really nice. Yeah,
definitely. I just quickly, when you mentioned that you didn't notice to scroll up. So one thing I did appreciate about the game, the tutorial was very on point, very quick, like didn't get in the way. And this is something I will probably get back to a couple of times in these reviews, but that one was very quick, maybe a little too quick,
possibly
in that case. But like it still, I did appreciate that it didn't dilly-dally too much.
I think that like from the very first moment I picked up the game, and you're just simply tap to make hot dog, it was somehow super satisfying. Like I know I played also Cookie Clicker before and so on, and there's usually this natural point in that game where you really kind of like stop clicking the cookie because all of the stuff that you get like passively just overpowers that. But it was just really fun for me to like just keep tapping it, especially because, you know, it's kind of like the first phase of the game before even all that stuff unlocks. So it kind of teaches you like, okay, here's what you do. And then later on I realized that you can actually tap it with 2 fingers. And then I'm just, just like going with it.
And the sound it makes when you make hot dog, it was like...
Oh yeah, the sound design.
Yes, it was like, and the visuals went with it, like it was very enjoyable. Like.
I would say that definitely like the feedback of like the things you do, or especially when you would upgrade a unit up to like 10 levels or something at a time, there was always this little like sparkle that you got, so that were really satisfying.
Yes.
So yeah, whenever you progress in that game, it feels good, and that's great.
Yeah.
Demo?
Yeah, definitely. I'm just here nodding in agreement. Definitely, with all that was said, that I really appreciate how it looks. It looks very polished and looks very cute and like beautiful as well. And the depth that you can get from like this simple clicking mechanic as well is really amazing. And you have an actual story that is kind of that there is some sort of kind of things going on and this kind of daily life goes on, but you're still clicking the making hot dogs there. So that's what I appreciated. There was a little bit of UI stuff that I was a bit confused in the beginning, but I did catch up with that pretty quickly as well.
I would also like echo a little bit when you mentioned about that. Well, many people mentioned the story, but then you mentioned also like the jokes, the memes, and all that. And too often when people put memes and stuff in their game, it's a little. I feel like in this one, it was a really good balance. So definitely, and for one person, really good stuff. Really good stuff. Really tight.
And I noticed myself reading the little speech bubbles from the workers.
It's the little details that make.
Does the day ever end? It's like day 300. It's like I don't think it will.
We've all been there.
But I also like when you hired like the new workers, the story was like quite. Like short, but you could like kind of sense the personality like from like those like very small interactions. So you'd have like different kind of like people, and you could like kind of connect their personality.
Like character archetypes.
Yeah, for sure.
And once again, I want to give props to the localization, because the English was very like natural. Like it was translated perfectly to the kind of like colloquial, like the personalities came across well. So, whichever localization studio they were using.
Yeah.
Very good.
Really quickly, I'd like to hear if there is any sort of constructive feedback, like what to do next, what to add, what to change, or what to aim for next. Because it's a really good game, but also good to give some advices. Any thoughts on that, or is it just too good of a game?
Maybe. You mentioned the battle mechanic. That's also something that it took me a while to like really figure out. Like the very first moment I see the health bar or like this with the heart and so on, I thought that there was going to be like a fail state. I was thinking like, if I don't make this fast enough, like it's going to be game over for me. But that wasn't the case. So perhaps if there was some natural way of just explaining how that works and what's at stake, perhaps that would be something to like look into at the like early game. But other than that, I think it's
for sure.
Or like a place where you can like review like the mechanics or like things, because like one thing that I might want a little bit more is like, when I miss that you can buy other passive ways of doing the hot dog and stuff, just going into affordances, like if you could either not see the entire bar for the workers or see a little bit of the next one, you understand that you need to swipe, and then in the upgrades make sure that like there is a place to click for more information, so it's really spelled out what you get when you buy stuff. Because I was a bit hesitant at times to buy like something with the jade that was hard to get, because I'm like, what does it actually do?
So that's true. Yeah.
Some tooltips or something. Also like the small like abilities you unlock, like level 100, 150, 200, like you have to go to like different menu to see actually what they do. So like if you like long press or something like that, it would be good to get like like a tooltip or something like that. But one of the things also like I mentioned with the ads before, like I think the reward you get double the reward, which is like quite good. So like I kind of use the ad quite often. But when I progressed, like when I went to like 5-6 revives, like after that I felt like stuff was going so fast, I didn't like see any incentive to like invest in like the monetization of like actually buying resources, because I was gaining them so fast, and like you could just go through like rebirths like incredibly fast, like when you got to like the DE like levels.
But did you still watch the ads then at that point?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's already still like.
Yeah, and like when the flying guy came, and I usually like, especially if it gave like the jade, like I usually like watch the ad for that.
Yeah.
With this kind of clicker games, like usually the first sessions are very like easy to make, like, you know, make them feel like really satisfying, feel like you're progressing constantly and so on. But the further you go, stuff kind of stagnates. It takes a lot longer to buy upgrades and so on. That usually is kind of like the point that, you know, as like designers or developers, you really should start kind of like putting there some sort of breadcrumbing to the player, so that they know like that there's something coming, something to keep them in, like, you know, instead of like 1 day or 1 week, like shoot for the 1 month retention at least.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think I was like reaching that stage when I had the production at like the E level or something like that. Like it was going super fast, but everything was like super expensive, and like there wasn't like any clear indication like what kind of comes next. You get like these incremental like upgrades and stuff like that, but maybe something past that, and that was like maybe after like day 5 or something like that. So so maybe like there could be, I don't know, more story or more mechanics or something like that after.
It would also be really interesting to see what kind of live operations you can run with a game like this.
Exactly.
Like I played some idle games, like there's this one called Cats and Soup, where they do at least like seasonal events. I'm pretty sure Cookie Clicker also did some sort of like seasonal stuff like that. So that's at least something, but perhaps there's something you could use to like spice up the week, like
sure,
and so on.
Sure.
That would be
And like with the graphics. The graphics were very nice. Welcome back. And the Secret of Cat Island. Who wants to? We did Evi already, and you were the last one last time. And it's always rough when everyone has said everything. You can be like, yeah, I agree. So I'm gonna let you go first now, Demo.
Yeah, thanks. The Secret of Cat Island was I really enjoyed it as well. So this was really polished and felt really kind of enjoyable game. And I see that there's like. Having this kind of island filled with fog, and you have these characters there running around and like just tapping around, I could see that like there's lots to discover and lot to kind of explore in the world. So I did really enjoy this one. Like I mentioned for the previous one as well, like looked really polished, and like I definitely could see myself playing this through as well. Yeah.
Sure. Menla, you wanna?
Yeah, definitely. Just kind of like piggybacking off what you said, like the UI was so beautifully polished. I just loved it, like how, you know, it worked really nicely. It looked very nice. It was like, you know, it was themified also, so that it fit the game world really well.
There was a lot of juice in there as well.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
And like absolute delight to play. Like there was this, you know, the usual like energy mechanics, tutorials that kind of like, you know, guide you to do things. But I also found these little moments that I could just go around and kind of like explore myself and like, oh, I want to use energy to pick up that rock from there and so on. And it was such a like neatly like fitted package that it like had these like little intricate like crafting systems here and there, and you could just make them like work so nicely. And I also liked it that while the core game itself is like very sort of like chill and zen, and you can just like kick back and enjoy, there was also these little like brain teasers, like I think it was like the arcade mode or something that had like the Tetris-y like block puzzle, and that was like such a clever minigame. I was like, wow, I love it. Like, that's.
Yeah, it was a lot more than I expected by the trailer, and I was like, it's one of these.
It came by surprise.
It was a little bit more than that.
And I feel like that even like if I were now to continue the game, there would be like just so much more to discover as well.
Yeah.
Like everything's just like in and beyond the phone.
I can say, I'm going to let you talk in a second. I'm just going to say this was the only game, I was mostly reviewing this at home, this was the only game that perked my wife's like.
No.
Yeah. So, you know, you might have one more download.
What's it playing?
Yeah, exactly. Are those cute cats?
Yeah,
Okay.
you mentioned your wife. I played the Jumo clicker and this with my 3-year-old daughter. The other ones, nope. But like
fair.
these were very appropriate for her, and she was a bit more confused by this, but she's also 3 years old, so clicking things or tapping stuff is easier for her. I really enjoyed this as well. It was very beautiful, and like you said, everything is polished. Like the UI fits the game world really well. At first, I felt a bit iffy about it. Like it started with the terms of service, and it was very like it was difficult to read, and it was right in my face. I'm like, oh my goodness, like why do they need to add this? Like what's happening in this game? And immediately after that, it's like, oh no, there's like energy and free to play mechanics here, and then I'm like, this tutorial is railroading me really hard. So like the first session, I was like, I'm not sure if I like this, but then I'm like, nope, you know what? Let's just take a break from this and look at this stuff because it's really pretty. And then I started doing, like you said, like, well, what's this rock? I can remove that. Oh, this is a pretty thing. And then I can go over here. And this is like, this is hidden behind fog, so I have to do this. And then like going off and exploring myself was really fun. And then I started getting invested in the story of like what's happening on this island, and then I go to a different island, like, oh my goodness, there are so many places I can explore and all this stuff. So I got really hooked, and I like very excited about the story, and like the interactions between the cats is just adorable. Getting new cats on the island was fun. I really had fun playing it.
The tutorial thing was actually, it is railroady, which is what it is. Like it wasn't like that bad. But why I liked it, it wasn't all in your face all the time, but also like I think all of you said is that it gave you these moments where you can go just explore. It wasn't just like click and click and click. It was a good tutorial.
And it also kind of it showed you could always click on the thing like where you need to go, and like
That's true.
That's what took a lot of kind of mental stress out of the tutorial. I could just click on the button and then just like go where I need to go and then click on.
One thing to actually maybe perhaps like a point of like where we could improve things a little bit is that like during the kind of like the 2A and so on, you were kind of like, I think that the task most often was to like interact with a certain object and so on. And either maybe like I just skimmed the text like too fast, or I just wasn't sure like what was it that I exactly needed to click. I mean, and that's where the quest log was perfect, because then I would just click it and be like, oh yes, it was this building I need to now interact with. But perhaps if it was maybe a bit better like highlighted in the map, showing that like, hey, this is the thing you need, that would have been a bit more natural flow in a way, rather than always checking back to the quest log.
Yeah, like a shine or like
a bit of like a feedback in there.
So I have to ask, when you were talking about this tutorial, because so did you try to do like you just advance all the time?
Yeah, I was just trying to like do like the sandboxy thing. I wanted to like explore more, and it's just like like this is locked by a quest, and then
It's
just like
fun to hear that like it's doing the same thing but having different response to it. Like, you know,
Yeah.
like, oh, hey,
Yeah, I had the same. I was like, let me just click the pretty world.
Yeah, because I was like, okay, well, let's power through this tutorial, and then I realized at some point, like, no, this will keep going because this is the mechanic, or this is how the game works. So there's no like official tutorial that ends, and then I started clicking like, oh, but I still need to keep doing this so I get here, but I can get here before, and
one thing would be like, because you have these like roadblocks or something like that you're breaking. Maybe like if you want to keep this quest system, you maybe like you have items that you collect that you're like, okay, you need the pickaxe or something to break these kind of boulders, and then next you need like hammer or whatever. So like there is like a reason for like it's just like not the quest says no. It's just it's more like you need to unlock something to go there.
It's a little bit like running into an invisible wall in a video game.
Like you gotta like let the player roam, like let them go free, like kind of like your kids. You have to let go at some point. You just let them be, and then that's
let
when
them be cats. I mean, like
Yeah,
if you said no
exactly,
to a cat, he would just jump over.
Yeah,
Like
that's exactly, and that's when you get the most fun things, when you have like, oh hey, I could maybe, oh yeah, and then that's when
Players like to feel smart.
Yeah.
But I can
Even when
definitely
they're
see
not.
like this being a very liked game, and like I know like handful, at least on top of my head, in my company that like love to play like animal games, and like they would like really like to play this.
Abby, anything to?
Everyone said already all these wonderful things about it, but actually, like, I want to again bring another reference. So this reminded me so much of Cozy Grove. If anyone's played that on Apple Arcade, very similar. You're kind of like on this island that you uncover, but it's more a little bit spooky because everyone's ghosts, but it's very kind of cozy spooky. But like it has kind of like, I think, a lot of similar mechanics, but because it's Apple Arcade, there's no monetization, so they more focus on the, you know, you come every day, you do a little bit, and then you go away. And of course, it's a different monetization mechanic compared to this, but kind of like I love that there was this sense of coziness to this world, and like playfulness, like the toy mice and the clowns that you look at. I just really love that. Like my biggest gripe with the game was just really about the art style, that sometimes kind of like a lot of the tones were so similar that it lacked a little bit of contrast. So sometimes it was just hard for me to tell, like, what is this, or like, is this the item I'm looking at, or is this kind of like, you know, the object I'm supposed to be looking at, because a lot of times it didn't feel like the important things stood out.
Yeah, maybe that's
like
what
highlights or outlines or something
I
like
was saying
that.
earlier that it was hard to find kind of like where to go next, because it wasn't like it didn't stand out enough. And also some of the imagery was a little, at least unfamiliar to my Western eyes, like the corns and the cabbage, the icons when you're growing them, those were really strange to me. Like I didn't associate the cabbage with cabbage, or the corn didn't look like corn to me. So I was like, I'm supposed to make corn, but like it took me that, you know, half a second more to make this is corn.
Right.
So like I think just a little bit of more contrast in the world, and like maybe just looking at the iconography and making it more, you know, universal.
Yeah, well, I mean,
that would
you
be
mentioned
helpful.
localization in the last game, and I would say this English and everything was very good in this.
Well,
but like localization, that's a good point, is also icons and stuff, because it's something that works here does not necessarily.
Yeah, maybe it's like Korean cabbage looks different.
Yeah, maybe
it could be. So that those were kind of like, you know, the only problems, and there was like some tiny like niggles with UI, like, you know, I'm in a deeper menu and I just want to go back immediately out, and I'd have to like tap twice to get out. So there were like tiny things, but those were absolutely minimal.
Yeah, that like one thing I kept thinking about is like the placement of like the close button was at the bottom of the screen, which to me was super weird, but at the same time, because I'd like to use my phone with one hand, and I've been wondering, because it's always at the furthest away from my thumb, like the close button, like why is it here? But also I love it that it's here. So
that's true.
Just like reprogramming your brain to kind of like understand it.
Yeah.
I kind of noticed that there was a little bit of a difference, like with all the crafting menus. If you opened it, you could close it just by clicking away, essentially. But with the quest log, you actually had the very specific button to press. So it was a little bit like maybe a bit iffy to sometimes like interact with that. I do understand though, because the quest log is something you need to like swipe here and there, so you can't. It might be harder to do that kind of like click away, just general area. But yeah, it could maybe be something just to kind of like keep it consistent.
Yeah, consistency is, that's very true.
And of course, we should talk about the one thing that is very specific to the Finnish audience, which is the name of one of the cats, which is Muna, which in Finnish means egg, and a slang word for male body part that we were not going to mention here. Of course it's not a huge thing. It's not like a forbidden verboten word. But it's just very funny.
It's not really a crude word either.
It's not crude. Because like, you know, when you buy eggs in the store, they're Muna.
Exactly. So but it is a funny one. So like I would not be surprised if that also helps it spread.
But that could be like meme-worthy in Finland.
Exactly. I think Mel, you had something about Polish.
Well, talking about those kind of like characters, and well, especially like during the dialogue scenes, if there's like one place I would like polish just a tiny bit, it would probably be just adding a bit more like expressions to the characters, because right now it was just like two sprites talking to each other, and maybe there was with like a little bounce or something to kind of like indicate like which one is it now. But especially because, you know, if you want to bring more like emotions or just, you know, fun moments, or just make it like feel a bit more like bring a bit more action into the scene, you can use expressions to make the text just pop out that much more. So,
A little bit of life.
a little bit of life into the
It
character.
doesn't have to be much. It can be like the blushy, like cheeks, or just like the eyebrows, or like
Eyes
just
narrow
eyes.
or
Eyes.
something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
It can be like 2-frame animations as well.
Yeah,
It
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
have to
exactly.
be
It
a full-
doesn't. It can be just like a static pose. That's
Yeah.
totally fine.
Yeah. You know, who doesn't love a cat who does this scrunchy
Yeah.
face?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. You know, kind of- Okay, and Undead versus Demon, and we are gonna start with Chris, who was so very quiet last time.
I've spoken many words. I know a lot.
For the beginning part, you were very quiet. So
I even knew some of the words.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, Aslan, take it away.
Yeah, like for me, it took a while to get into the game. Like there's a lot of like mechanics, and like they're like very linearly introduced, and like kind of takes like a long time to like go through, because there is a lot of mechanics. There's like merging of the inventory, merging of the characters. There's like there's a lot of
level ups
and like
yeah,
there's crafting and like there's pretty much everything that you would think that is already in the game, and it kind of feels like the actual gameplay was like kind of second, because like there's so much other things to explore in the game, and like but in the actual like in the game, that like the main gameplay is like where you actually get all your stuff, and like when you progress to the second dungeon and you get the infinity like waves, like I thought it was I didn't really know what to think, because like it's so different from like the first one, and I just well, not stood there, but sat there and
it was
just
like an idle game at that point.
am I supposed to do something? Is this a tutorial? Is this a video? Like it's just like stuff
my favorite thing about that is that you can go to like power save mode, so it like just
the screen
I just
press
and it shows you how many
like
kills.
numbers. And it's just like,
okay.
I'm doing stuff. But like I'm not a huge like hyper casual player myself, so maybe
I would say this is not hyper casual.
no. That's one of my.
this
It's
is-
more
this is-
You're
casual.
a hyper casual expert.
This is not a critique about the game, but this is more critique about the maybe the categorization. So the core of the game is could count as hyper casual, but the hyper casuals, for example, what we did at Lightyear is that the hyper casual players who play those games would get distracted and leave the game when the second dialogue window appears. So there's a but I really appreciate that this is very simple game mechanic, and I actually like the game mechanic, this kind of this brick breaker genre of sorts, and then there's these all kinds of features around it and RPG elements as well, so I'm pretty excited for that. But as a hyper casual, I wouldn't necessarily go, so for me this is, as a hyper casual developer, this is more a casual game.
There's too much stuff in it.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, I'm gonna hijack the conversation.
Yes, go ahead.
But like, I really liked the core gameplay once I understood what it was, because I had an iPhone. I got it through test flight, so I didn't go through the store page either. So like, I didn't read the description. So in the tutorial, they never explain what the core mechanic is. They started like, they explain the merge mechanic really well. They explain how to get more skeletons. They explain a lot of things, maybe too many things, and I can get back to that a little bit later. But I didn't understand that it was a brick breaker game until I accidentally figured it out. And then I'm like, because I kept dying in the second level over and over again, and then by accident I figured it out, and they're like, oh man, this is super clever and this is super fun. But that like they had a lot of tutorial and they never explained that. And like speaking of the tutorial, they started explaining things like, okay, after like 6 more levels, you're gonna get all this cool stuff, and you're gonna get a sneak peek. Now I'm like, why? How? What is this gonna help me with? And it like it started overloading me a little bit.
Like this was like
really
so much tutorial. Like every time I was trying to play the game, there was a tutorial. Every time I was like, oh, tutorial.
And I really like. I think it would work as a hyper casual game because it was like, okay, like, especially the not infinite mode, where it's like there are a few waves of the enemies and then you can tap out, and it would be super nice. Like I'm waiting at a grocery store or waiting for the bus. I can play around. But now it was like, okay, there's all these tutorial dialogues that I need to go through and maybe play a little bit of a level that I don't necessarily understand and have to repeat. So it was not as smooth.
Yeah, I can understand that, but so this is Arkanoid is, as far as I know, the first breaker game, and then there's I can't remember that, but it was like Bubble, the little dinosaurs.
Yeah.
They had like where you have to angle.
That's one of the bubble shooter.
And this is like a mix between those. Those are like some of my favorite games. I played this quite a lot. I really enjoyed the gameplay itself. So for me, the levels being longer, I was just like, no, this is good shit. Let's go.
Give it up.
That was really nice, but. It's a good point especially about the tutorial. Like, if you don't have to spend that much time, and then when you get out of the game, every single menu are tutorial.
And they're forced that you have to go through the menus as well.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that you could see the number of waves.
Yeah,
there was that.
And
then another part of the menus was that I like the close button or going back button. It was so
It's like
it blended into things, so I couldn't find it.
Yeah, like when you went to the skeletons and you had to go back, there's only one button and it's like in the center and like over the middle.
And the coloring wasn't like
because it kind of blended in the background.
Yeah, it should have been like a red cross.
Yeah.
Or that you could like swipe to like
because it was in the same space. I'm like, well, I want to tap the big guy or swipe or something.
I did that many times as well.
I was also fumbling and just trying to look for the button. And
I actually during the first tutorial when I was trying to use the special attack, it told me like, do you want to leave stage? And I was like, where? How? Like that happened to me several times.
Yeah.
So the user interface was kind of like very tiny and very cluttered, and there was a lot of overlap. So
and the same like with when you went to the infinity mode, like you can put like the auto on like the auto button was
I
like
needed
3
like some kind
pixels.
of pin.
Very true.
So I think overall, I want to say that it has good bones, but it needs a little bit of polish.
Polish those bones. But the game itself, I like I said, I enjoyed it. Of all the mobile games, maybe the most. Maybe because I have like too much fondness for these 2 old games. But like I really enjoyed it. It was sometimes just frustrating how the game was kind of getting in the way of my enjoyment of the game. And like Chris said, it was really weird. The 2 modes were almost 2 different games. Which isn't maybe bad in itself.
And there was really good balancing. Like a lot of the time, the bosses just got really close, and then it was like, so like really nice balancing.
It was fun.
It definitely goes to the like principle of like a good puzzle game that it's like easy to pick up but hard to master. I can see that there's a lot of depth there. Speaking of easy to pick up, it's so funny to me. Like I've also played these types of games before. There was this one title called Piffle, for example. I think it had like little cat themed projectiles on it. And so when I started playing this game, you go to the game board. There's a tutorial finger that shows like does this sort of like movement. I swiped. And I was really confused, like, what just happened?
I did the same thing, like, where, what?
And then I realized that, so the character actually moves from different lanes, and then I had to do the aiming very carefully, and so on. And it does feel really nice and satisfying to line up your shots. However, maybe it's me being perhaps a bit more casual. I mean, this game was advertised as the real brick breaker, so maybe this is a bit hardcore.
My biggest gripe overall just still was the user interface. It just made everything so much harder. And then there was the kind of like text being oddly wrote, which is like one of my biggest pet peeves. Like I hate when text is unevenly wrote and it would spill over already the tiny font, and then the text was still spilling over like its allotted space, and then the text was technically correct English, but not readable English. So many times I was just like, I am not making sense of what this is trying to teach me, and it would just repeat the same things, and I'm still not getting it. And so, like the globalization, this one needs a lot of work.
Because I think like the UI is quite cluttered from the beginning, so like you could like incrementally like introduce stuff. For example, like some of the crafting stuff, when you can craft shards, like you can craft shards, but you can only equip them at level 10, but you can craft them beforehand. I thought that was like
hide stuff before you need
quite
it.
So like you can just, for example, hide that. And like one other thing I didn't like about crafting, like I spent all my gems on like crafting and merging stuff, and then like I had merged like bunch of stuff, and then the axe was like plus 0.3 damage, which is like it's so low number. Like just increase the increments by like 10 or 100 or something like that, just to like make me feel like I did.
I think it's more frustrating than using your premium currency, like a lot of
it's like it's just like
Yeah.
nothing. So just like give it 300 and like just give like others
Scale it up.
scale it up. It's
And that would have helped me with my other biggest problem with the game, which was that I lacked an aspirational goal, because I felt like I had everything from the beginning, but I didn't feel like I had anything to work towards. Like there was no map that I could see, like, I must get to the Queen Deborah of the demons who's at the other end of the map. Or like, there's this, features that this mysterious buttons that are locked, or here's my friend and I can see the leaderboard, or something that gives me something to work towards. But I felt like once I played the tutorial, I felt like, okay, that's it, and then numbers just go up, and didn't feel like the numbers were presented in a way that I felt like I need the numbers to go up, because I've played a lot of games and I enjoy numbers going up, but here it didn't feel like the numbers going up did much. And also like the App Store and the trailer had a lot of double exclamations, which makes it sound like all the time, like aim, strengthen, and it
I don't
comes
know,
across
is this a cultural
little too
thing
much.
or not? But like,
At least the like European context, like one exclamation mark.
That's
enough.
2 or 3, it makes you look a little unhinged.
very true. That is very true. That's very true. So I guess that's a bunch of feedback. I think pretty good feedback. All in all, I quite, like I said, out of all the mobile games, I played it the most. It just
Good
also
bones,
happened.
good bones.
Yeah.
Bones, great bones.
I have to say though, the little sound effects for the skeletons were cute, because they do this little evil laugh. I love that every single time.
Although at the beginning I didn't realize that they were skeletons. I'm like, what are these
they were just
football sound
balls,
like? Because they make a ball sound. They don't make a bone sound.
Yeah.
So it was a little surprising. But yeah, that was Unadverse Demon. That was very good.
But I liked like when you launched the game, when like you heard the crows. It's like it's like it's like I got like intrigued.
Well, I also played in the beginning with the music on, and I did enjoy the sound effects, but the music got a little repetitive.
But I did like it though when the music changed when you encountered the boss the first time. Or I think maybe it is for all the bosses, but that was like, now it's something exciting happening. So